There is a strange moment in every relationship with a manipulator. The moment you grow stronger and they begin to panic. You think healing will make them let go, but the opposite happens. That is when they prepare their final move. When a narcissist sees you are no longer weak, they do not leave. They change strategy. A quiet tactic designed to make you doubt the strength you've just reclaimed. Jung said every relationship is a test of consciousness. The narcissist doesn't fear losing you. They fear being seen for who they truly are. So when you stand tall, they attack your strength, not your weakness. They make you feel guilty for your peace, your independence, your boundaries. It begins with a strange compliment, a pitying look, or a simple phrase like, "You've changed." Beneath it, a quiet threat, as if your growth is betrayal. Jung called this the shadow confrontation, when the light within you exposes the darkness in another. The narcissist cannot stand the image of your freedom because it reflects their inner prison. So they pull you back to where you once felt small, the place where they still feel safe. But Jung would say, do not fear, observe. Once you see how they work, you are no longer their puppet. They will twist memories, fake weakness, or use your compassion against you. Yet if you stay awake, you'll see, it's only the desperate struggle of a collapsing ego. This is not about revenge, but about staying whole. True strength is not defeating others, it's refusing to let anyone steal your light. This is the path every wounded soul must walk, from weakness to awareness, from awareness to peace. Not everyone can bear your light, but that's fine. It was never meant to convince them, only to guide you home. A narcissist does not fear your weakness. They depend on it. What terrifies them is your strength. In the relationship, they are used to being at the center, the one who is heard and satisfied, while you are the one who adjusts and endures. When you begin to say no, when you stop apologizing, they feel as if they are losing not just control, but their identity. Jung said manipulators operate through an inflated ego, a false self they must defend at all costs, because beneath it lies a void. When you grow stronger, you expose that emptiness, and to hide it, they must pull you back to where you once felt small. Their inner world is a distorted mirror. They can only feel real when someone reflects the image they want to see. They do not love you. They need you to sustain their illusion. When you begin to heal, they no longer see themselves in you. Jung called this the power inversion crisis. The moment energy shifts direction, you withdraw the energy that once fed them, and they begin to suffocate without it. This is the most dangerous time, because they will not let go. They make you believe that your strength is a mistake. They twist memories, stir emotions, and use their oldest weapon, guilt. You've changed. I miss who you were. You used to be softer. These harmless phrases are small needles that inject doubt, making you wonder, am I becoming cold? But they do not miss you. They miss the version they could control. Manipulators cannot stand independence, so they use projection, transferring their own weakness onto you. When they fear losing you, they make you fear losing them. When they feel guilty, they make you believe it is your fault. This is the game of the unconscious Jung warned about. Unless you see it, you will be drawn into their spiral. The paradox is that awareness does not mean reaction. The more conscious you become, the more you must stay still. Reaction is the energy they live on. True power is not about winning. It is about not being pulled in. This journey is not about hating them, but about seeing yourself clearly, without fear. When a narcissist sees you grow stronger, they do not break you with force. They are smarter than that. They make you doubt your own strength. Jung called this shadow inversion, when someone's darkness tries to cover your light. They know your true power doesn't come from resistance, but from self-understanding. So instead of attacking, they pretend to be hurt. Instead of insulting you, they praise you with a tone that makes you feel guilty. This is their final move, manipulation through weakness. When you begin to heal, you step out of the role of the savior. But to them, your refusal to save feels like betrayal, so they repeat the same play. Fragile, broken, needing comfort, hoping you will return. They do not need you. They need control. They know your compassion, and that compassion once chained you to them. They only have to pull lightly, remind you of who you used to be, to see if you will come back. You've changed. I miss who you were. You used to be softer. These simple words are emotional traps that make you wonder, am I becoming cold? But you are not cold. You are healing. Jung said that when a person becomes whole, they awaken the darkness in others. Your strength exposes their weakness, and instead of seeing themselves, they try to extinguish you. They do this in 3 ways. First, they smear your strength, making you believe independence is selfishness. Second, they use memory, reminding you of how gentle you once were. Third, they pretend to need you, suddenly fragile, to pull you back into the savior's role. This is not unconscious. It is the survival reflex of a collapsing ego. To them, power is not in love, but in control. And when you reclaim your energy, they have one path left, to make you give it up willingly. Why do we surrender so easily? What hides beneath this automatic urge to respond, to explain, to please? The answer lies in what Jung called psychic energy, because energy is all you have. If you do not protect it, someone will always use it against you, and that may be the most important truth you will ever learn. If this content is making sense to you, click subscribe and stay with this journey. Thank you for being here. Carl Jung did not see the human mind as a machine reacting to the world. He saw it as a living system of energy. Every thought, every emotion, every action either drains or restores that energy. When you are close to a manipulator, they do not just take your time, they drain your life force. Jung called this the psychic energy exchange, an unconscious transfer that happens between people. You can feel it even when you have no proof. Sitting near them makes you tired. Leaving them makes you lighter without knowing why. It is not imagination, it is your spiritual energy being pulled away. At the deepest level, the human psyche works like electricity. When you live in truth, the current flows freely. But when you please, justify, or hide yourself, the current begins to leak. For the narcissist, controlling you is their way of recharging. They live off attention, because attention is energy. Every message you answer, every explanation you give, every worry you hold for them is energy handed over, and they never return it. Jung said that the unconscious does not care about right or wrong. It only responds to where energy is directed. Feed fear and guilt, and they will grow. Feed awareness and peace, and they will expand. So the question is not how can they change, but where am I giving my energy away? At its core, this is a lesson in inner power. The manipulator makes you believe your strength is a threat when, in truth, it is what they crave most. They want to touch the self-control they do not have. When they see your confidence, they feel endangered not by what you do, but by your existence without them. That awakens their deepest fear, the fear of being invisible. So they make you doubt yourself to regain their false balance. But this is what Jung wanted you to know. Energy cannot be stolen when you are conscious of it. Awareness is the fence. The moment you realize you are being pulled into a game, you step out of it. The narcissist lives through the unconscious, but you can live through awareness. When you stop reacting, the current stops flowing toward them. They will rage, they will provoke, they will stir the drama, but that is proof you are slipping free. Jung once said, "You cannot awaken another soul. You can only protect your own light, and that is what you must do." Protecting the light does not mean building walls. It means choosing where it shines. You can be kind without enduring pain. You can love without rescuing. When you stop trying to fix others, your energy returns to its center, where it belongs. Then you see the paradox. You do not need to fight anyone to be free. You only need to stop giving others the power to define who you are. And if you stay until the end, you will understand what most people never realize about energy, that no one can make you weak unless you believe they can. Imagine your soul as a candle in a quiet room. The flame is your life force, the awareness Jung spoke of. When you are alone, the light is calm and warm, enough to fill the small room within you. Then someone enters, carrying wind. At first, it is gentle, a question, a compliment, a look that makes you want to prove your worth. The flame trembles. You think it is care, so you open the door wider. The wind grows stronger, pushing against the light, and before you know it, the room is full of wind, and the flame is struggling to stay alive. A narcissist never blows out your light by force. They drain it with attention. They come and go, taking a little brightness each time. You fade while they glow, shining with the light you lost, until you start to close the door. When you say no, when you stop explaining, you are sealing the cracks where the wind comes in. At first, the room feels darker, but only for a moment. Then your flame steadies again. Jung once said that man does not find light by fleeing darkness, but by learning to keep the flame steady in the wind. Strength does not come from having a big fire. It comes from protecting the small one. And the strange thing is, when you keep it safe, the room becomes brighter than ever. The manipulator will come knocking, begging you to open because they miss that light. But now you know, light is not shared by opening the door wide. It spreads from the center. You do not need to fight the wind. You only need to close the door on the wrong breeze. When you do, your energy is no longer taken. It becomes steady, glowing, lighting the way for those who are meant to stand beside you. Have you noticed that most of the pain in your life did not come from what others did, but from what you allowed them to do? You say they drained me, but every time that happened, you chose to stay. Every time you forgave not because they deserved it, but because you feared losing them, you widened another crack for your energy to escape. Jung called this compulsive empathy, compassion without boundaries. It makes you believe that love means endurance, that helping means sacrifice, that kindness means never saying enough. But love without limits is only self-abandonment. Ask yourself, how many times have you helped someone and felt empty instead of relieved? How many times have you tried to be good, but deep inside you felt smaller? Exhaustion is not the price of kindness. It is the sign that your kindness has been misplaced. Manipulators do not need your strength. They need your softness shaped to their will. And if you are not careful, you begin to measure your worth by how useful you are to others. You feel guilty for not saving someone, instead of grateful for saving yourself. Jung once said you cannot bring light to others by putting out your own flame. So ask, who am I trying to save today? And why? Do they really need me, or do I need to feel needed? When the answer becomes clear, you will see that not every rescue is love. Sometimes, the only way both souls can be free is through refusal. The world will not collapse when you choose yourself. In truth, That is the moment you stop wasting your soul on those who never intended to save themselves. You were not hurt because you were too kind. You were hurt because you did not know when to stop. That is the difference between compassion and energy leakage. The world once made you believe that strength means needing no one. But Jung would say real strength is not isolation. It is knowing who is allowed to touch your energy. Someone who understands this does not build walls. They build doors. A door can open, but only for those conscious enough not to break what is inside. Change your language. Do not say I am weak because I care too much. Say I am strong because I am aware of who deserves my care. Do not say I am afraid of being selfish. Say I choose to be honest with my energy. The moment you stop proving your worth through service, you begin to be free. Jung once said, "What you accept liberates you. What you deny controls you." When you accept that you have limits, you no longer feel guilty for saying no. When you accept that you have the right to keep your energy, you stop asking permission to live in truth. That is the real form of spiritual maturity. Not constant calmness, but knowing when to stop as your soul begins to drain. From now on, speak to yourself in a new language. I do not lose my goodness when I protect myself. I am teaching others how to treat me. Allow yourself to step away from the role of the eternal healer, because if you never stop, you become the patient of your own healing. A healthy self does not need to prove itself. It only needs to live truthfully. And when you live that way, those who truly love you will feel peace beside you, not guilt. Someone who is used to darkness will find your light too bright, but do not shrink. Keep shining, because light never needs to apologize for being light. If you have seen that real strength comes from keeping your energy whole, how do you begin? You do not have to change your entire life. Only 3 small things, enough to bring you back to your center. First, observe instead of reacting. When someone tries to trigger you, do not respond right away. Take a deep breath, count slowly to 3, and ask, is this feeling mine or theirs? You will be surprised to find how much of your energy is lost by carrying emotions that never belong to you. Second, stop explaining. Manipulators do not need to understand you. They need you to keep talking so they can keep control. Next time you are blamed, simply say, I understand you have your perspective, and then stay silent. No defense, no proof. In silence, the energy stops leaking. Third, create a space of stillness each day, even 5 minutes. Turn off the noise, sit still, and listen to your breath. Jung said that silence is the language of the soul. When you are still, the unconscious begins to realign itself. You do not have to figure it out. You only have to be there. When you practice these 3 things each day, something strange begins to happen. The people who once drained you start to fade away. Not because you pushed them, but because they can no longer find a source of power in you. And new people appear, calm and conscious, drawn by what you now hold. Because energy does not lie, it always returns to where it is respected. One day, you will see that strength was never about being untouchable. It was about never forgetting who you are. Jung said that those who look outside dream. Those who look inside awaken. Every pain, every broken bond, every act of manipulation was a doorway calling you inward. Not to blame yourself, but to gather back the energy you once gave away. When you stop resisting what has happened, that energy returns, bringing a quiet peace that feels almost sacred. You no longer need to prove anything. Those who once hurt you still exist, but they can no longer reach the center of you. They may talk, act, or try one last time, but their power is gone. Because real power never comes from control. It comes from being beyond control. A person who guards their energy does not seek revenge. They simply smile and walk away. And in that moment, they become a mirror that forces the manipulator to see their own shadow. They do not lose. They become the lesson. Jung believed that every relationship is a tool of spiritual growth. There are no true villains, only the asleep and the awake. But once you awaken, you cannot return to sleep. When you no longer react, defend, or try to change others, your energy becomes still like water. And when the water is calm, it reflects the light. Life does not need you to avoid darkness. It needs you to be still enough to see the light inside it. Every narcissist, every manipulation, every emotional storm is only a test of whether you can keep your inner flame steady when the wind rises. Do not fear the moments you grow tired. It only means you are learning to tell the difference between borrowed light and your own. When you understand this, resentment fades into gratitude. Because without them, you would never have learned that peace does not come from being loved the right way. It comes from no longer letting yourself be loved the wrong way. When a narcissist sees you as too strong, they will try everything to pull you back. But at some point, you will stop fearing their tactics. Because now you understand, they were never truly fighting you. They were fighting the weakness within themselves, and you were only the mirror reflecting it. The day you see this, you no longer need anger nor forgiveness. You simply step out of the war, not in victory, but in peace. A person who has reclaimed their energy does not need to prove, does not need to be understood. They only need to exist, still, clear, and whole. You do not have to return to who you were, because that version existed only when you did not know who you are. Now you are different, quieter, brighter, freer. Let this be your small ritual of return. Take a deep breath, place your hand on your chest, and whisper, "I do not need to be understood. I only need to be real." Let that sentence become your shield every time someone tries to make you doubt yourself. Because there is no final trick that can touch an awakened soul. You do not need to fight the darkness. You only need to keep shining. And if this message feels like it speaks to you, write in the comments, "I choose to keep my light." Because the moment you write it, you begin to anchor it. They may still talk, they may still try, they may still reach for you, but this time you will not react, you will only smile. Because now you know, true light never needs protection through fear. It protects itself through awareness.